Should be a zchut for all those who were killed in the Pikuah, should be zoche to better times. Okay. We're about to share. You're sharing. Very good. Okay. The title of this class is Jewelry and Ritual Washing. And really, you can do this class in 15 seconds. The answer is no. The answer is no. Here's a picture. There's a wedding band. There's the sink. Before you do the Tachidayim, take the ring off. Now we can all go home. I know. There's more to talk about.
Yeah, when I put my 2 cents in, like you can't get it over your knuckle, but the water goes underneath.
We're going to talk about this. But the simple, the picture's worth 1,000 words. Take the ring off. What do you do if you can't take the ring off? That's a very good question. So we're going to talk about the basics, and what we're talking about today in halacha is, if you probably all know this, but I'd like to start at the beginning and go through the middle and get to the end. Okay, why are we washing our hands before eating bread? It's a Gemara in Chulin. And I know I opened it up. How come it's not appearing on my screen? Chulin, where's Chulin? Open it up again. That's how it works with the Adobe. That's the word. Today's word of the day, like Groucho Marx used to say in his show, the word of the day. Word of the day is chatzitza. There's something called chatzitza. Chatzitza is a barrier. And this Gemara in Chulin says, whatever is chatzitza for tevila, and you have to go to mikvah. And again, these days, going to mikvah is primarily women when they're in nida. But even after the Chorban Beit HaMikdash, they were still trumot and masrot being eaten in Eretz Yisrael well into the 4th century, because they still had ashes of a para aduma for people who are tamei made, and men went to mikvah, children went to mikvah. If you were going to eat truma, you had to be tahor. If a woman was making bread, she'd have to give a piece of the dough to the Kohen, that's the Fashas Challah. Had to go to mikvah because it has to be tahor. And the laws of Tumantara are, they learned it, so they just knew it. And there's chatzitza. If you're going to go to mikvah, you have to be totally immersed in contact with the water. How do we know that? There's another Gemara. It's a Gemara in Sukkah. It goes over for 3 pages. And the Gemara starts like this. This is Sukkah Hamid Bet. Shiurin, Chatzitzin, Umachitzin, Halacha Moshe Misinai. Halacha Moshe Misinai, the Rambam defines as a halacha which cannot be based on a pasuk. The most common halacha Moshe Misinai in our everyday life is our tefillin, the men's tefillin. Torah says, "Why did the tefillin look like?" And the Rambam and the Gemara says that our tefillin are square, the ritzuot are black. Halachal Moshe Sinai. There are no psukim that allude in any way, shape, that tefillin straps need to be black. This Gemara says shiurin, a kazayit. How much I have to eat a kazayit of matzah? This Gemara says it's halacha Moshe Sinai. Chatzitza, which we're going to talk about today. Barriers between our bodies and the water of the mikvah. There cannot be any barriers. Bechitzin, that's unique to Masechet Sukkah. The shiurim of the walls of a sukkah, that's halacha Moshe Sinai. The Gemara actually learns how many walls you need based on drashot. But what the dimensions of the walls. Halacha Moshe Sinai. Anyway, this is Hayamud Bet. The Gemara questions: is this really Halacha Moshe Sinai? You can't find a pasuk for me, and the Gemara goes on to Daf Vav. Chatzitzin daraita ninhu. The idea of not being any barrier between ourselves and the water. I can find a pasuk for you in the Torah. You wash yourself in water. That means you're going to get wet. It means all of you has to get wet. So it's a pasuk. Why are you saying this halacha Moshe Sinai? You have to be in the water. You have to get wet. So my answer is halacha Moshe Sinai is for hair. This is for a real going to the mikvah, either for a nida or for a person eating kosher. All of you has to get wet, including your hair. You might think that your hair is not part of your body. That's halacha Sinai. And the Gemara says, so nami daraita ninhu. No, even hair. Your whole body has to be wet. Why is it all of you, including your hair? And here it comes. What's the halacha Moshe Sinai? And that's going to be important for today. Kiyata hilchata l'kid Rabbi Yitzchak. Damar Rabbi Yitzchak. Dvar Torah. Mina Torah. Ruba umakpid alav chotzeitz. And there's another word of the day. We have chatzitza. And you have makpid. Something that I don't even know how to translate that. Something about which you're particular. And we'll have to see what that means. What are you particular? Something that covers most of your body and you're particular about it. That's a chatzitza. Okay? And Rashi says, okay, she'eno makbar love eno chotzeit. So when you don't know what to define, Rashi's always there for us. Ein makbid love doesn't mean you don't care about it. Havale kagufe, it's like part of your body. Hov ein savo litlo, because you're not going to take it off. Batal gabei v'lochayim. And that's what we're going to talk about. Something that you ignore. If you ignore it, it's not a chatzitza. That's din Torah. All right, and we'll see when we get to the Shulchan Aruch what that means, or also for rings. What are the rings that you care about? What are the rings that you don't care about? If it's something that you're not going to take off, it's not a chatzitza. It's part of you. It's batal. Okay, it's null and void. All right, it's null and void. I'll underline this in Rashi. Something that's null and void. Batal l'gabei. It's batal to you. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak goes on. That's din Torah. That I can't find a pasuk for. The pasuk says all of you has to get wet. Now comes Rabbi Yitzchak with the idea of chatzitza. Okay, just the simplest chatzitza. I'll jump ahead. Paint. My wife is a kindergarten teacher. All right, and she comes home. Some kids. There's paint on her hands. And she wants to eat it. How much does she have to scrub her hands for Natilat Yadayim? She doesn't like having the paint on her hands. But on the other hand, it's every day. So, and let's say she's in Gan. She's not gonna get old. She got paint on her hands. Okay, does she care about it, or is it batal to her? We'll see in Shulchan Aruch. The Gemara talks about that. The Shulchan Aruch talks about that. So the only person who really can't go to the mikvah is, let's say you're wearing a scuba diver suit. It's waterproof, and you're not going to walk around like that all day long. You can take it off if you're a scuba diver. So the scuba diver in his scuba diver suit has a chatzitza min haTorah. Okay, because that's rubo and it's makbid. The gazro rubo she'eno makbid mishum rubo hamakbid vo miuto shamakbid mishum rubo hamakbid. And they made two din sermon derabanan. If it covers most of you and you don't care about it, I can't even think of anything like that. Or it's muto hamakbid, a little bit of you, but you're makbid. And that is if you're wearing a bathing suit, that's waterproof. That's not your regular clothing, you're going to take it off. You can't go to mikvah like that with a waterproof bathing suit. Whereas it's miyuto hamakbid, that's the rabbanin. But let's say make another gzeira. Miyuto she'eno makbid. You have a little bit of paint on your hand, and you don't care about it. Let's say that's also usher. The Gemara says, "Gufa gzeira v'anlukum nika gzeira." That no. The miyut hamakbid is at the rabbanin. We don't make it the rabbanin to protect us from another rabbanin. So that's what we're talking about. The Daraita has to be ruba umakbid. The rabbanin, it's ruba she'eno makbid and ruba and muto hamakbid. So go back just to our little picture. This ring, I'm assuming it's nice and shiny and gold, and whoever's ring this is probably would be very upset if it got dirty. But it's only a little bit of your finger. So Mina Torah, if you went to mikvah with this ring on your finger, you're good. But Rabbanan, you're not. And that's why you go to mikvah, you take off all your jewelry, and the same thing for Natilat Yadayim. You start the Gemara in Chulin, whatever is the chatzitza for Tevila is the chatzitza for Natilat Yadayim. So you cannot do Natilat Yadayim. It'd be very questionable if you could do Natilat Yadayim with your ring on your finger. Okay, that's the basics. There's what?
Oh, sorry. So can you just so rubo means like it's a large amount?
Most of your surface area.
Okay, so in the Raisa, if it's small and it's something that you don't care about, like makbid means you don't care about it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Small and you don't care about is okay. And we're going to see what is considered not caring, because it's very subjective.
And then the Rabbanan means that you can't, even if it's small and you don't care about it.
No, small and you don't care about is okay, Rabbanan.
Okay.
The Raita, it's most of you and your makbid. The Rabbanan is less small and makbid.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ring. So now we have to see what do we care about. And that's the subjective part. Okay. I want to save this. I guess I do. All right. So a little introduction. Okay. Why are we doing the Natilat Yadayim? This is the Mishnah Brura. All right. When you're going to eat bread, about which you say hamotzi, because there's a whole category of bread called pata baba kisnin, which is really, really hard. It's a lot of definitions, and that's why you'll have different people telling you different things on making hamotzi when you eat pizza. Okay, and that's it. So if it's hamotzi bread, that's like flour and water. All right, wheat flour. Let's be even more specific. The chamesh minei dagan, wheat, oat, barley, spelt, and rye. That and water. You're making hamotzi on it. You tell yadav. You have to natilat yadayim. Your hands are clean. You varach on natilat yadayim. You say a bracha. There's a bracha on natilat yadayim. The pizza question, which is like the big question for these days. And you're making a meal out of it, which is another thing that needs to be defined. You don't need to do natilat yadayim. And the Mishnah explains why are we doing natilat yadayim. There are two reasons for doing natilat yadayim. Echad, neisrach truma. In the time we daven the Mashiach should come today, and Mashiach comes today, we mafresh truma, and we'll be mafresh challah. and all those things are kodesh, and the Kohanim are going to want to eat it. We fidget all day long. I'm not like staring at my hands, right? Nogim b'chol davar. We touch all sorts of things. The Kohanim, certainly, they had to be careful, because chalila. If a Kohen Tameh eats truma, he's chayv misa b'dei shamayim. That would be terrible. He has to be tahor. And since you're always touching things, just to remind the Kohanim to be vigilant, they made a rule that they have to do the tilat yadayim. Kol mechilat truma, shlo yitamu b'negiatan. And just the Kohanim should be diligent. They made everybody has to do like them before they eat bread, and all this is just to remind the Kohanim. Now, and we're still doing the Tilat Yadayim, even though it's been, unfortunately, 1,600 years more or less since anyone has ever eaten truma. We're waiting for Mashiach to come. When Mashiach comes, we're going to be ready. And we'll remember that we have to do Tilat Yadayim before we eat bread, and the Kohanim will just be in the habit of this, of keeping their hands tahor. What's another thing? Nekiyus Kedusha. It's clean. It's hygienic. Before you eat, you should wash your hands. So that's Netilat Yadayim. It's because of Srach Truma and for Kedusha. And Kedusha, in the Mesilat Yesharim, the Kiyut is one of the steps on the ladder to Ruach HaKodesh. Cleanliness. It's good. All right, that's Netilat Yadayim, why we're doing it. And now we can see the Mishnah Brura, which unfortunately is not up on my screen, so I'm going to put it up on my screen. Kuf Samach Aleph. Here we are. We'll do the Shulchan Aruch, then we'll get to like the practical questions. This is the Gemara in Chulm that we saw. Be careful about, I'm going to use the word barriers. We have to be careful about barriers. Whatever is a barrier for Tevila is a barrier for Netilas Yadayim. And the Mishnah Berurah reviews the Gemara that we just saw, that what's Chatzitza, that's Eino Makbid. Okay. If it's Robo Shem Makbid or Miyut HaMakbid. Okay. What are the things that you have to be careful about? Kagon. There's dirt underneath your fingernails. You want your fingernails to be clean. So if there's dirt on your fingernails, you have to clean your fingernails. Or if you're baking bread and dough got under your fingernails, you gotta get rid of that. Or tia shal basaro, you have some sort of ointment on you. You have some sort of rash on your hand, and there's an ointment. The ointment might be water resistant. Vetitia vein, vetitia tzrim, very sticky mud or potter's clay. Okay, that's on your hand. It's a chatzitza. Now it's a little bit of mud that doesn't really bother you. Ein lachush. You don't have to be worried. And then you get to the subjective things. Well, does it bother me? Maybe it bothers somebody else, and it does bother me. Ramaz says, he says the minhag is that before the Tilat Yadayim, excuse me, we're not cleaning out under our fingernails. The Ramah says we're in his time, excuse me. People are not that bothered by some dirt underneath their fingernails. If it bothers you, then you do have to clean it out. The average person in 16th century Poland, there's some dirt under the fingernails. They can live with it. If it bothers you, the Ramah says, then you have to clean out under your fingernails. And that's the essential thing. If it bothers you, it's a chatzitza. If it bothers you, then clean it off. Because there are some people say in matter of principle that, and it's hard on that you don't have to be so intense about chatzitza b'netilas yadayim, but the Rama said that's not really the way to go. If it bothers you, you clean it off. Okay, now we can see the Mishnah Berurah. Okay, so what are things that are chatzitza? Dirt accumulates under the fingernails. But so mamash, but certainly if here it's so actually means fecal matter, that certainly is a chatzitza that you have to get rid of. So can I get a basar? There's fingernails that are past your fingers and fingernails that are like over your fingers. So if you have long fingernails, you have a long fingernail, it sticks out past your finger, but most people would be bothered by dirt under their fingernails. It's nasty. That's why it's a chatzitza. So and you have to clean it up before netilat yadayim. But though under the fingernails, even if it's on the prior fingernail, it's over your finger, that bothers people, and you have to be cleaned off. So your fingernails have to be clean. The Rabbi says, so trim your fingernails, and then you'll avoid all the chatzitza issues. Retia. Okay, we're going to see about bandages again. This is ointments. You have some sort of injury on your hand, and there's an ointment that's wrapped up in a bandage. It's a chatzitza. Shal basaro. Now, we'll see this later, Bezrat Hashem. If you have a serious bandage on your hand that the doctor says has to stay, can't get wet, just don't do netilat yadayim over there. Okay? The doctor says keep it dry. You have a bandage over there, it's over suture, it's like says keep it dry. It's like that part of your hand is gone, halachically. Doesn't have to get wet, you're not going to eat over there. And all you have to do is wash the rest of your hand. But the other bad part of your hand, just wrap up in a plastic bag and do it and let the rest of your hand get wet. So how come there we don't have to do about netilat yadayim? Here we do. There you have a serious injury. We're not afraid you're going to take the bandage off and that hand which wasn't washed will be handling food. Here, I don't know. Let's say you had like a mosquito bite that was itching you. So you get some kind of ointment for the mosquito bite. Wash it off and do netilat yadayim, and then put some more. You can put the ointment on again. It's like it's a trivial thing. Sarban tells us you can remove the mosquito bite ointment, and you're not going to feel any better or any worse. You can do that whenever you want. They're afraid if so you got the mosquito bite ointment on your hand, we're afraid that you're going to eat your bread with the hand that has the ointment on it. And then you didn't do Netilat Yadayim. So do Netilat Yadayim. Okay. Mud, clay, all these things are chatzitza. And this I underlined. Okay. Let's say you're a potter or you make bricks for a living. This is certainly not a chatzitza. Okay, this is why I say it's very subjective. It's like my wife with the finger paints on her hands. I mean, she does this for a living. And she knows her hands are going to get full of paint. It's not a chatzitza, unless it's covering most of your hand, because now you're getting to rov. It's rubo she'eno makbid. I mean, that we saw in Sukkah, rubo she'eno makbid is a chatzitza. So, again, if you make pottery, you go to a pottery chug, and now you want to eat lunch, or you do a keramika chug or other chugs where you're working with that, what's it called? Super Sheva. There's like this super waterproof adhesive that they use for pasting down tiles. Now this waterproof adhesive, it's very, very sticky. It's hard to get off of your hands. If it's most of your hand, it's a chatzitza because it's rubo hamakbid. It's already become a rov. Or even if you say you're not makbid, it's still a rov. If it's a little bit, and you do this for a living, now it's rubo she'eno makbid. If it's a once a week chug and it bothers you, then it's miuto hamakbid. So it's up to you. Does this bother you or not? But certainly if you do a pottery chug every day, that's what you do for a living, then it's miuto she'eno makbid. Okay? And that's where it gets to be subjective. And we go on. No, it's aval. If it's less than, it's miyut that you don't care about, it's not a concern. Din ze kail reisha sit betzem din chatzitza. Nitza shum davar chatzitza miyuta ya vein makbid ein lachush. You're about to Yadayim, you're looking at your hands, and you got some paint or whatever on your hand, and it doesn't bother you. Do Netilat Yadayim. Most people might be bothered by that. You, it doesn't bother. You're good. That's the tour. But the Magen says no. The things that are listed in Shulchan Aruch as a chatzitza are always chatzitza, even if they don't bother you, and that's the dirt or mud that's under your fingernails, okay, or the clay, okay. If most of your hand is covered in it, even if it doesn't bother you, it's a chatzitza. Okay. And the Mishnah goes on. Now the Ramaz says, these days people aren't that fussy about fingernails because they're not makbid, unless he really is makbid. Makbid who? If most people aren't bothered by something, if it bothers you, the implication of the Ramah is that it is a chatzitza because it bothers you. When come nearer, that's only clay or mud or dirt. But it's something that it's not so sticky. Rabbi says it's nothing machmir. If all day long you're working with this stuff and it doesn't bother you, like my wife with the Gone finger paints. If it doesn't bother you and you're willing to walk around like that all day, then gesund to hate. You're good. Okay. And he sums this up again. If it doesn't bother you, it's not a chatzitza. Some people does bother, some people doesn't bother. If it bothers you, it's a chatzitza. If it doesn't bother you, it's not a chatzitza. And again, the paint. Ketzad. There's a painter. And there's paint on his hands. He's a painter. He's used to having paint on his hands. Doesn't bug him. Not a chatzitza. He can eat lunch. Even though the paint has some kind of substance. Let's say you're not a painter. Let's say you're not a painter. Machaber assumes if you're not a painter, let's say you're just painting a room in your house, you got paint on your hands, it probably bothers you. It's a chatzitza. Okay. And he goes on, the ink that they used in the old days when it was like made from a cake. Dry paint has substance, it's a chatzitza. Ink. Ink when it's dry has substance. Wet ink from the inkwell has no substance. Now, the women put henna on their hands. Because they like it. It's a cosmetic. I can't call that. We'll call it, if it's something that you put there deliberately for aesthetics, it's not chatzitza, and that's true for nail polish. Nail polish is a serious issue, and you get different opinions, but if your nail polish is intact, it's not a chatzitza. If your nail polish is not intact, it's like peeling off or fading in some places, and it needs to be redone. So I'll read to you from Rav Vazner Zatzal, Mashir Shevet Halevi. He says like this, because nail polish is always a question. Cosmetics. Women dye their hair. They put eyeshadow around their eyes. They put nail polish on their fingers. Mikar din eno chotzitz. To Illinois, Ikar din is it's not chatzitz because it's aesthetic. They want it. Okay. He says, Omnam. He goes, however, the women who are makbid never to use any nail polish because they're worried about chatzitza. But Tzeva Naim, I don't know what kind of eyeshadow he's talking about. He says, little fragments of something remain between the eyelashes or in the hairs of the eyebrows. Those are chatzitza, they're not aesthetic. Some dyes are impossible to remove, but they're not a chatzitza because there's no substance, they're only color. But let's talk about nail polish. Ikar din, nail polish is not a chatzitza. He says there are people who are machmir, the yeshba mashut. They're not just color. The lacquer has a certain substance to it. Same thing he says is true for he's starting going to make the same thing is true for greasy lipsticks. He says if a woman doesn't want to remove her nail polish, make her din, let it alone. It's because it's aesthetic. Now, so let's say your nail polish is fading. It's like instead of having a solid color, you have patches of color, and that bothers the woman. Either she's going to remove all of it or she's going to renew it. But right now, at this in-between state of blotchy, it's a chatzitza because it's no longer aesthetic. Okay, I just wanted to do what Rav Vosner said. That's like the question people always ask, what about nail polish? If it's intact, you can go with it. If it's not intact, then fix it. Because if it's not, that's no longer aesthetic. That clear? Yeah.
I just have a question I thought of. So if you, let's say eyeshadow, so it's intact, but once you go in the water, it's going to not be so good. It's going to, like a bunch of it is going to be dissolved. So is that count as a chatzitza? Because when you went into the water, it was good. But then when the process of totaling.
While you're in the water, it's dissolving, then while you're in the water, you have a chatzitza.
Okay.
It's a chatzitza while you're in the water. Seems to me. Okay. So let's talk. This is a picture of a ring we starved. You have to get to the ring now. Okay, since it's about the name of the subject is really jewelry. You have a ring on your finger, you take it off. Even if it's loose, so word can get under it. And even if it doesn't bother you, it gets wet. Here, this ring over here, it's a solid gold band. The water's not going to do anything to it. And you're not upset that it's on your finger. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's still a chatzitza. You have to remove it. Okay? You still have to remove it, even if it doesn't bother you. But feeling a makla of shas natila, or makla of shas malacha shitan, because it's something that you care about. If you may not mind going to the mikvah with this ring on your finger, but you certainly will not paint your house with this ring on your finger. You care about it. And if you care about it, it's a chatzitza. Okay, that's like very important to get that straight. Okay. You don't want to get dirty. Now, there are people who are makel if the ring is loose, because it's not a barrier to the water. The water gets under the ring. Well, yesh lahachmir. But you should be machmir about this, he says. I don't know how loose is necessarily loose. So we see the Mishnah Brura. Last year, tapat mishum chatzitza. A ring is a chatzitza. A feel v'chulei. What's the loma? Av shemayim ba'im la'etzbeh. Your finger's going to get wet, even with the ring on your finger. How loose is loose? Because it's a din d'rabbanan. You have to be careful. It is a miyut, right? And it is a makbid. It is a miyut hamakbid, because you're not going to paint your house with your wedding rings on your fingers. You don't want paint on your wedding rings. You do care about them. But the avid also tefillah barafit. But the avid, if you didn't take your ring off, and if the ring is loose and your finger got wet, then you were yotze. But you have to, we're not talking about mikveh. You're doing the whole revius of water that got on your ringer. Bashah. Okay. Now, what's the ring that you're makbid about? Okay, your tet. When you're doing work. Masko achronim. The davka isha shadak b'hasiyat b'shat malacha and b'shat lisha there. What's the stickiest, nastiest thing you're going to do? You're making dough. Dough is sticky. If the woman is not going to knead dough with her finger on, with her ring on her finger, then that's she's makbid. But let's say a man has a wedding band. If he doesn't mind working with his wedding band on his finger, then he could do Nitalat Yadayim with his wedding band on his finger, because he's never makbid on it. Ain't a rough boy, even if it's not loose, because he's not makbid on it. I don't know if that's true for every wedding band. Excuse me. It's every person, every case is judged on its own merits. This man has a ring, and he'll paint his house with that ring, and he'll make pizza dough with that ring. He obviously doesn't care about the ring's state, its cleanliness, and he's not makbid about it. So it's not a chatzitza. It's miyut she'eno makbid. Okay? Rak mishpa Evan Tova. Let's say there's a diamond in the man's ring. And that ring, like there are men who have like these rings from their college graduating class, with some kind of semi-precious stone in it. I don't know if they're a makbid on the ring. So then he has to take it off because it is a chatzitza. Okay? And that's basically the long and short of it. Any questions? No questions?
No, I'm trying to phrase them. So someone who takes off the ring because he's working with electric tools, it's a safety issue, but he would wear the ring if he's painting. That's not makpid?
Probably not. No, because he doesn't care about the object.
Okay.
I would
And
yeah.
And a mechanic who can't get the grease off because it's ground into the skin with the oil and stuff like that, where would that fall in?
Well, that's what we saw about workers. Workers have the grease ground into their skin, like the painters.
But it gets under the fingernails also.
That's it. So again, as long as it's less than half of his hand, it's miyut she'eno makbid. If his hand is coated in grease, that would be a problem. He'd have to really, really scrub.
Because do you remember lava soap for getting the grease off? And even that doesn't always
remember the
work.
Advertisements. I don't know if it really worked.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Unless you were a really, really heavy duty car mechanic. Then you never got that stuff off.
Well, they have, never, ever, ever is like, sounds pretty catastrophic. Okay.
Okay.
But that's what Mishnah Berurah says. It's like that's okay. Big time I come until Eloi Arubo Shakaman Filo Eno Mak Hotzates. Rubo even Eno Makbid is Hatzitza. So for this heavy duty car mechanic, he'd really have to really think about how is he going to do Netilat Yadayim? If it's like if it is as serious as you say, because Haruba Kamafila Eno Makbid Chotzi, Rubo She'eno Makbid is a Chatzitza. Okay. But that's an issue. Okay. So and Yalkut Yosef, he goes through it like he has a very good summary. I want to, since it's halacha, we should just get clarity. So this provides clarity. Tzarach lizar mechatzitza. Got to worry about these chatzitza. I didn't do bandages. Okay, he alluded to Mishnah Berurah, that's important. Yes. If you're going to mikvah, a lot depends on how they paskin where you live about nail polish. Okay, I'm just, Rav Vosner says, Rav Knoll says, Rav Chaim Ozer said in 1930s, nail polish, if the woman really likes her nail polish and it's intact, it's not a chatzitza. Rav Vosner himself quotes people who are machmir, but he says again, and just to reiterate, I like that word. I'm going to reiterate. Ikaradin is nail polish that's intact. It's not a chatzitza. That's Rav Vosner. Okay. You have a bandage on your hand. Wash the rest of your hand. Like, let's say you broke, I don't know, you have some stitches on a finger. So you have the sutures, it's wrapped up in a bandage. You can't get it wet. Really shrunk sutures should never get wet. Wrap your finger up in saran wrap so it's waterproof, and do netilat yadayim for the rest of your hand. So actually, you give you have to make sure the ratia stays dry for various technical reasons as well for netilat yadayim. And just to make that clear, this is a bandage that you can't take off. You have sutures, they're staying on for however long the doctor wants them. They have to stay dry. Okay, back to Rabbi Yosef. All right, be careful of chatzitza. Okay. You have to clean under your fingernails. You have to remove your ring before netilat yadayim. Men are less fastidious than women about their jewelry. So if the man is like a lawyer, that there's no grease, and he leaves his ring on while he's working, he can do netilat yadayim with the ring on. Even if it's on tight, because it's miuch eno makbid. Even if there's a precious stone in there. If you're machmin, you'll take the ring off, that's good. But if you're careful about that precious stone, you don't want it to get wet. And of course it's a chatzitza, and you have to remove it. If a woman has a ring and she'll make pizza dough with that ring on her finger, she's not makbid, it's not a chatzitza. Even if the ring is tight. But there's a diamond in her wedding ring. Of course, I can't imagine a woman who needs pizza dough with a diamond ring on her finger. That ring is a chatzitza. Let's say this woman, she doesn't care. She'll make pizza dough with the diamond ring on her finger, doesn't bother her for a moment, and that ring is simply not a chatzitza. If it's not, it's not. Okay, nail polish. She polishes her nails. It has lacquer on them, lacquer. Another chatzitza. Timaniyot do this. They have this dye that they put on their hands. It's not a chatzitza. They think it's nice. Wait, okay. Someone mentioned grease. He talks about tefillin paint. You make tefillin for a living, and your hands are always covered with tefillin paint, and they're black. Okay, and he's not worried. It doesn't bother him. All week long, he doesn't wash the ink off of his hands. Wash your hands as much as you can. Just in the chotzeitz. Whatever you can't get off is not chatzitza. On Shabbos, you want your hands to be clean on Shabbos. On Shabbos, you should be clean for Shabbos. He says you should consider it to be a chatzitza. Bandages. This is a big issue. You don't have to take the bandages off to do netilat yadayim. And wash the rest of your hand. If you can remove like I said, it's like covering a mosquito bite. It's not serious. If you can take the bandage off, but if you can't just keep just the bandage there, then he says, you do Netalas Yadayim, he says, without a bracha. I know if that note is an interesting note. Where's note Hey? That was an interesting note. Where did you go? That, and will just bear with me. Here. Bandages are a chatzitza. Okay. Bandages are a chatzitza, but if you can remove the bandage and it doesn't hurt, then you should take the bandage off. Okay, and you do Netalas Yadayim without a bracha. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, a cast that goes on part of the hand and the wrist.
There are waterproof casts that the doctors don't care if they get wet. Those are the fiberglass ones. If the doctor says you can get it wet, then you don't have to wrap it up. But if it's a plastic cast, the old-fashioned kind, you don't want it to get wet. Then you just wrap it up in plastic to keep it dry, and doing the Netalas Yadayim on the other hand.
Does that mean then you can't eat bread with one hand?
You wrap the hand up in the bag, and the hand that hasn't done the touchdown, that hand should not touch the bread.
Okay.
And that's why some people wrap their hand up in a napkin and eat it.
Got it. All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? And thank you for your time. I wish be zoche to good news and yeshuot.
I mean,
Have a good night.
are you changing class schedules until after the holidays, or are we staying regular?
I don't determine the schedule. It gets announced. But after Yom Kippur, there won't be any classes until Rosh Chodesh, I think. But you go to the website and you'll see.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi.
you.
That was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Wonderful week.
Rabbi.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.